Karen cut my power at 11:14 Tuesday morning while my wife lay in cardiac surgery. She believed she was enforcing HOA compliance rules against unauthorized exterior equipment installations visible from the street. She did not know that the system she touched fed her own house. By Thursday evening, she was staring at my name on an infrastructure ownership schematic inside the district utility office. My name is Nick Calloway, 65 years old, retired power infrastructure contractor with 4 decades serving the greater Charlotte region. I do not look for fights, and I do not carry grudges waiting patiently for an opportunity to unleash them. I am methodical, patient, and intimately familiar with how complex electrical and human systems actually function under stress. That familiarity is precisely why Karen's decision unfolded so catastrophically for her within 48 hours. My wife Delia and I moved to Briarwood Point in Concord, North Carolina, after I retired at 62. The development contains 160 homes nestled between a nature preserve and Cabarrus County Regional Parkland. Delia lives with a chronic cardiac condition requiring continuous remote monitoring from our home medical relay system. That monitoring equipment transmits baseline cardiac data directly to her medical team during procedures and daily observation. Power in my home is not a convenience. It is an operational requirement tied to her health. Karen Westfall became HOA president 22 months before she decided to disconnect my service without consent. She campaigned on what she called community excellence standards, translated practically into aggressive fines and inspections. 8 months before the outage, she cited my exterior transfer switch panel as unauthorized equipment. The panel was professionally installed, county permitted, and fully compliant with electrical code classifications. Her notice ignored the permit and referenced decorative fixture guidelines instead of utility equipment provisions. I responded in writing, citing code sections and requesting specific covenant language supporting her fine. The board replied by restating the fine, adding administrative fees, and threatening escalating penalties for noncompliance. I filed every letter carefully and contacted a Concord real estate attorney named Bertram Cole. Bertram reviewed my documents and confirmed the HOA's position lacked legal foundation under governing covenants. He sent a formal response warning that continued unsupported enforcement would trigger civil claims. Karen sent another fine 2 weeks later, ignoring every legal argument presented. This pattern continued for 6 months, fines accumulating to $900 on paper. Bertram initiated North Carolina HOA dispute resolution proceedings while we awaited formal review. Meanwhile, I reviewed my property's title documents regarding a secondary distribution easement. When the development was built, interior cul-de-sac capacity required a privately held secondary feeder segment. I purchased that easement with my property, understanding exactly what infrastructure ownership entailed. The feeder line behind my fence supplied 31 homes across 3 short streets. My name appears in the utility authority's system as easement holder of record. Any disconnection on that segment requires my written authorization under agreement terms. Karen apparently never investigated that detail before authorizing what happened Tuesday morning. She contacted Apex Community Services, the HOA's management firm she had hired earlier. Apex engaged a licensed electrical contractor through a flawed administrative work order channel. At 11:14 a.m., my home service was disconnected at the utility access point. At that exact time, Delia was undergoing a scheduled cardiac catheterization procedure in Concord. Our home relay transmitted continuous baseline data the surgical team used as reference. When my power cut, the relay feed dropped with a disconnection error code. The hospital's primary equipment remained functional, but the remote feed went dark instantly. A nurse called me from the operating floor while my phone displayed a home power loss alert. I knew immediately this was not random grid failure or storm-related outage. I had observed Karen's escalation pattern long enough to recognize trajectory. I called Bertram from the hospital waiting room and documented the exact time. Then I called the utility authority's infrastructure operations line, not customer service. I identified myself as an easement holder and reported an unauthorized segment disconnection. The operations coordinator located the contractor work order within 90 seconds. She asked whether I had authorized the disconnection on my easement corridor. I told her no authorization had been granted, written, or verbal. She placed me on hold and escalated to a supervisor reviewing system topology. When she returned, her tone carried new weight and recognition. She informed me the disconnection affected 31 homes on that feeder segment. I confirmed awareness of the topology and requested immediate restoration. A crew was dispatched and power returned within 47 minutes. Delaya's procedure concluded successfully while restoration efforts were underway. The supervisor requested I attend a formal review meeting Thursday morning. I agreed and informed Bertram to accompany me. Karen and an Apex representative were also summoned to the district office conference room. On Thursday, I entered and saw Karen in a red blazer across the table. The operations supervisor projected the infrastructure schematic onto the screen for everyone present. He traced the secondary feeder through my easement corridor to 31 homes, including Karen's. Then he pointed to the ownership designation box displaying my name clearly. He stated any modification required written consent from the easement holder of record. That consent had not been obtained before processing the contractor's disconnection request. The utility legal representative acknowledged an internal administrative gap, but separated authorization responsibility. Karen's expression shifted from confidence to a stunned, hollow recognition. She had expected to defend compliance enforcement, not unauthorized infrastructure interference. Apex's representatives suggested reliance on contractor expertise and good faith interpretation. Bertram responded with measured clarity, outlining interference with private easement rights. He detailed disruption of medical monitoring equipment during an active cardiac procedure. He cited potential liability under North Carolina General Statute, Chapter 62. The room grew quiet as institutional consequences became visible in real time. The utility authority announced a formal complaint against Apex for improper work order processing. Kex's contractor authorization credentials were suspended pending regulatory review in Cabarrus County. Karen retained separate counsel once the HOA's insurer distanced her personal liability. Our civil complaint named Karen personally, Apex, and the HOA entity. Claims included easement interference, intentional service disruption, and negligent emotional distress. Delaya's cardiologist provided a clinical statement describing the monitoring feed disruption. That statement translated abstract infrastructure harm into human medical impact. Each defendant filed answers pointing responsibility toward the others. Coordination dissolved quickly once accountability entered the equation. Mediation occurred 7 months after filing under court supervision. All parties reached a combined settlement before trial proceedings advanced further. Settlement funds covered legal fees, monitoring upgrades, and documented medical distress compensation. A neighborhood notification fund compensated the 31 affected homeowners modestly. Karen Westfall resigned from the Briarwood Point HOA board the following week. An interim president, civil engineer Raymond Oz, commissioned independent compliance review. 14 households requested case evaluations. 11 received full or partial refunds. Delaya recovered well physically, though the memory unsettled her deeply. She told me months later, the worst part was not fear. It was someone pulling a lever without asking what it connected to. Authority misused rarely considers what happens beyond immediate objective. Systems, whether electrical or human, punish ignorance applied with confidence. The lights returned to 31 homes 47 minutes after disconnection. Ours have remained on since, powered lawfully, documented thoroughly, and protected by a name Karen finally learned to check.